Okay, Adam, we're back for another video. So
Mhm.
I thought we'd bring in some conversations here. I haven't actually told you what the topic is either, which is going
No.
to be the fun surprise. So everyone's going to get a bit of a blast out of here and a bit of a kick. So obviously StrangeCast is available, and we said that on the podcast we've changed the formatting around as well. But I brought the main topic in here because I want to know what Adam thinks of this. So Adam, if you haven't played Life is Strange Double Exposure, you better look away now, but here it comes. Adam, you've seen the screen.
Yes,
You've
I have seen that.
this screen.
Yeah, I have seen
This
that
was the
screen.
conversation we were going to have as well, because I was going to ask
Okay.
you, Max Caulfield will return. Will she return?
Yeah, contractually, yeah, 100%.
So there's no doubt in your mind that you think that they might change or pivot. I'm just talking about in the landscape of like X amount of months that have happened, layoffs have happened, polarizing reception, XYZ ABC. People are convinced that they might move away from Deck 9 because of surveys, etc., etc. But are you 100% unequivocally believing that Max Caulfield will return?
So if Square Enix still decides to stay with Deck 9, 100%, 1,000%, Max Caulfield absolutely will return. Barring any other major changes, right? So if we talk about like the major changes that can happen, like they change studios, they pivot to another story, like if there's like desperate measures, which there are, then sure, I can 100% believe it. But if I hear that they're staying with Deck 9, right? Like I'm gonna 100% say yeah, they're gonna stay with it, right? They're like Max Caulfield absolutely will return, but why? What do you think?
No, I'm utterly convinced of it. I'd bet my house on it. That's how guaranteed. Like I'm usually like, no. They were 100%. This was meant to be like an excitement thing where people are like, oh, we're excited for Max Caulfield to return. This becomes like a bit of a threat for some people, depending on how they played this game. It's like, oh, actually, they're threatening us that Max Caulfield will return. 100% unequivocally. And in itself as well, I'm going to take one of your arguments. Dig your heels in now, because you've made the pivot change. Because ultimately, you can't just go back to the anthology model and be like, oh, we're going back to the anthology model and do this. You've dug your grave now. Now try and undig yourself, whatever way you can do it. We all have our different feelings about double exposure, but ultimately, if you walk back on this, it's going to look even more deeply embarrassing from a publishing standpoint as well, considering you bought the golden goose of the franchise back, you botched it, and people have seen it, and then you're walking back on it. 100% unequivocally, Max Caulfield will return. And as I said to you before, it's going to look like some people see that as a threat. It might do for some people, but it is actually going to happen there. And I think they've done it as well, because with Hannah obviously being cryptically moved around in Colorado when they were shooting the first game, they've just done it because if it's in the air, it's in the air. And the way they finished this game, irrespective of the layoffs and stuff, they're setting themselves up for another Life is Strange game with Hannah Telle at the helm of it as well. So no doubt in my mind, like I'm 100% convinced that they're going to bring her back. There's no doubt about it in my mind.
Because like all the surveys and everybody who says like, I'm glad Hannah Telle is back. I'm glad that I'm seeing Max. I'm glad of this. Like that's the only good thing that people are saying about double exposure right now. That's literally one of the only good things. There's other good things about this game that people enjoy, but I would say number one reason why people like double exposure, Max is back. So Square Enix knows that. Square Enix will stick with that, and I guarantee you there's some kind of contract to say that like, hey, you have to play this,
Yeah. Well, yeah, I would bet my house on it. That's how confident I am. And usually I'm like on the fence and stuff. Unless something happens in the next couple of months where I don't hear something and I don't see anything, this is the trajectory we're going on. It's like 100% down there. And I think it has to be what you said as well, where it's a pivot change on a scale we've never seen before. It's like they just pull the plugs on Deck 9, they pull the contracts and do everything else. Ultimately, no other chance though. But I'm 100% unequivocally based that Max Caulfield will return. And that's going to be where we go from here, because as I said, you've caused all kinds of havoc now so far. So it's like you just can't walk back on this now. You have to go down the anthology route. And it's not even like, it's not like Max Caulfield will return someday. It's Max Caulfield will return. So you've given it a very like short as a statement, as a 10. What happens if you go to the next game? People are like, well, I was waiting for Max to come back. And they're like, because you haven't left it as even more ambiguous. Ironically, in the grander scheme of things, maybe they should have done that. Yeah, she's definitely going to return for me. In itself as well, I kind of say one thing as well. This is to evolve into this question, and as we talk as well, should she return?
No, no,
No.
no, she shouldn't return. Like, again, with all these people who are saying it, like, oh, I want Chloe back. And I always make the argument like, well, you didn't like how they brought back Max. You're not going to like the way they bring back Chloe. And to that point, I have like a little dot right here. I got rid of it. Let's go.
Focus.
Never. I have ADHD. I can focus on 3 things at once. But if you didn't like how they brought back Max, you couldn't recognize Max, right? You don't like how Square interprets Max.
Mm-hmm.
No, she should not come back. Like not in the way that Square Enix wants to bring her back. Not in that sort of way. Do I want Don't Nod to bring back Max? Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, but no. Under Square Enix's hand. No. It's not under Deck Nine's hand. Under Square Enix's hand. No.
That's a very interesting take, that.
It's a hot take, if you will.
My hot take's going to be the opposite. She come back? Should she return? Yes.
Under Square Enix's hand?
Because one of the things I'll say as well, and for me, I was reflecting on this recently as well. Two of my favorite characters were both created at the hands of like Kojima, and fortunately we had Kojima there as well, and it's with Solid Snake and Big Boss. And for me, the way the story arc's finished, fantastic. This will now overshadow Max Caulfield's legacy for the rest of the character's creation. So you can sit there and scream saying, this isn't my canon, it's not my canon. Michelle might have tweeted something. Unfortunately, as I said this before, the history books will say this is canon. The history books are telling us that this is canon and you can't change that. So now her story is ending on a dim note as well. Mm-hmm. And for me, and I agree as well, because it's like, I would love it to be brought back if it was just in a different perspective where it's not Square Enix doing it, it was someone else. But for me, even if Square Enix is there, I would still say, should Max Caulfield return? Yes. Because I think at this point, even if you can make more of a pig's dinner out of it as you can, and I think you can do that as well.
Yes.
With a new creative team coming in and to try and put it back on some okay trajectory, I just can't see Max's story ending on a really, really, really divisive, somber note, the way that it has. And you've kind of really, like, we just celebrate the 10-year anniversary. So it's like, get some competent writers in there, get a good creative team in process, and what Deck Nine has lacked for years in terms of one that has cohesive collaboration that we see, where we're not reading articles from IGN or we're just hearing on the grapevine that the studio is being dysfunctional. Get a proper creative team in place, and Square Enix, take your grip off the franchise in certain respects and let them just tell a story which puts things back into a certain path. Because for me, in my heart of hearts, I would be with you where I'm like, should she return? No. Because I think like at this point, you lose the good feel factor. So even with the feel good factor, where it's like with Hannah Telle coming back, that's not going to happen again now, because people are going to be like, great, happy for Hannah, she's got work, fantastic. But the taste that's being left with them with double exposure, they're not going to show the same support, because they'll be watching from the sideline being, fantastic, Hannah, we love you, but we're not going to buy the game to support it because we feel that way. Instead, to approach this, bring a competent writing team in, fix certain narrative strategic points that you can, and make a half-decent story out of it. I would want just to give the character some kind of closure, because even my favorite characters, you can say as well, Marcus Phoenix, for example, that story is now just left in limbo land after Gears 5. I was like, we didn't need to carry that on. It's like Marcus didn't need, we already wrote that great story with Cliff Bleszinski and Rod Ferguson, and we had those kind of key characters in place. And again, I know it with Life is Strange, we don't have Michel Coe now, we don't have Jean-Luc, we don't have Raoul Barbet, etc. So in itself, I would just want to wrap it up in some kind of way, shape, or form where we can give her a little bit of a good send off and give her closure. Because anything else, like for me, when you say should Max Caulfield return, anything else is a walk back on this decision. And at that point, then your reputation gets damaged even more. So it's like, you've already set up for people who enjoy double exposure, and then they're going to be like, wait a minute, what? Why not bringing her back? So ultimately, as I said, they've dug their grave. Now, dig yourself out of it. How you do that, that's down to you, because you can make more of a problem out of this. For me, I don't have to deal with this. I can just sit here with Adam and have a good conversation about being like, you've messed this up and you've messed this up. Oh, that was actually good. No, you messed this up as well.
Yeah.
So generally speaking, I'm should she return? I would say yes, because you need to kind of work something out. Because when I look at the series now, I look at the canon, I'm like,
Yeah.
Like, oh God. And then it's like, will she return? Yes, I'll put my freaking house in it for the time being. Like, I'd 100%, if I could wager my house, I'd have 2 houses by the end of this. That's how confident I am that she'll come back. So, yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. So, for you, definitively, should she return? No.
No. Yeah, absolutely not.
Fair point. I think some people will feel that. Let us know what you think in the comments. Do you not like my take? Then let's hear them. Anyway, if you are new here as well, I'm Adnan. This is Adam. Whichever way direction you come on, we do Life is Strange podcasts. We do content, interviews, discussions. So if you are new here, if you like the video, even if you didn't like the video, you should like the video, share with your friends, support the channel, comment. We're at 1,500 subscribers, so help us get over that line. We also cover Lost Records content, Bloom and Rage, Don't Know Montreal, so go and follow us over there whilst we're doing stuff as well, especially on our podcast, Lost Records Journal, so you can keep up to date with that. But yeah, let us know the thoughts in the comments. Would you bring Max Caulfield back? Will she return? Should she return? Let us know your feelings and comments in there. And yeah, stay tuned. We'll be back with the Lost Records Journal up next. See you later, guys. Bye.
See you.